So we have become experts by now in finding and sketching triangles and reference angles. But what are they good for? How do people use reference angles and triangles in real life? So this question will be answered for today's lesson, which is all about angles of elevation and angles of depression. These are the following objectives we need to attain for today's topic. Letter A illustrates angle of elevation and angles of depression. Letter B distinguish the difference between angle of elevation and angle of depression. And letter C solve problems involving angles of elevation and depression. Every time you look at something in the sky, you are creating something called the angle of elevation with your eyes. Moreover, when you look down at something on the ground, you are creating an angle called angle of depression. Note that these two angles, the angle of elevation and the angle of depression, are congruent with each other. They have the same measure. Let's define the following terms. We have the line of sight. It is an imaginary line that connects the eye of an observer to the object being observed. And the angle of elevation is the angle between the imaginary line of sight and the horizontal line where the object is above the observer. And for the angle of depression, it is the angle between the imaginary line of sight and a horizontal line where the object is below the observer. So the question is, how can we solve angles of elevation and angles of depression? So we can solve this by using trigonometric ratio. Trigonometric ratio often helps us set up an equation which can be then solved for the missing measurement. If two legs of the triangle are part of the problem, then it is a tangent ratio. If the hypotenuse is part of the problem, then it is either a sine or cosine ratio. So basically, we will be applying what we have learned on our previous video in this topic to solve the angles of elevation and angles of depression. Let's have our first example. A hiker is 400 meters away from the base of the radio tower. The angle of elevation is 46 degrees. How high is the tower? So the first step we need to do is we need to sketch the situation or the given. So I have already here the illustration or the drawing. So this is the tower and this is the location of the hiker, which is 400 meters away from the tower. And we have an angle of elevation which is equal to 46 degrees, and we are looking for the height of the tower. So the next step we need to do is we need to use trigonometry to find the required missing length. So we are looking for the tower. So our reference angle or given angle is equal to 46 degrees. So we need the opposite, which is the height of the tower, and we have a given here, which is the adjacent side. So we have the opposite and adjacent. So we will be using tangent or cotangent. So let's use tangent for our formula. But before that, let's identify the given. So we have theta is equal to 46 degrees. Adjacent side is equal to 400 meter. Adjacent side is in between the reference angle and the right angle. And then the opposite side, which is the height of the tower, is equal to x or unknown. And then by using the formula of tangent, tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. all we need to do is to substitute our given with our formula. So we have tan 46 degrees is equal to opposite, which is x, and then adjacent, which is equal to 400 meters. We will cross multiply. So tan 46 degrees times 400 will be 400 tan 46, and then x times 1 will be equal to x. After this, we will just press tan 46 degrees on our calculator, and that is equal to 1.03553, and then multiply it by 400, and that will be equal to 414.21. Therefore, the height of the tower is 414.21 meters. So let's solve our next problem. A man who is 2 meters tall stands on horizontal ground 30 meters from a tree. The angle of elevation of the top of the tree from his eyes is 28 degrees. Estimate the height of the tree. So the first step is we need to draw a sketch of the situation. So this will be the sketch of the situation, and let's identify the given. So the given here is the angle of elevation, which is the reference angle, which is equal to 28 degrees. And then the adjacent side is the distance between the man and the tree, which is equal to 30 meters. And then the opposite side here is the height of the tree minus the 2 meters, which is the height of the man. And then after we have identified the given, we will use trigonometry to find the missing length of the triangle. So we have here given 28 degrees. Opposite, we are looking for the opposite side. And given the adjacent, so we are going to use again tangent. So we have tan theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. We will substitute the corresponding value. So we have tan 28 degrees is equal to the value of the opposite side. So opposite, this is opposite side, h minus 2, all over the adjacent side, which is equal to 30 meters. And then we will cross multiply. Tan 28 degrees times 30 is equal to 30 times tan 28 degrees. And then h minus 2 times 1 is equal to h minus 2. And then we will simplify this by pressing tan 28 degrees, and that is equal to 0.5317, and multiply it by 30. This is equal to 15.95. Then we will transpose negative 2 to the other side of the equation. This will become positive. So 15.95 plus 2 will be equal to 17.95. So therefore, the height of the tree is equal to 17.95 meters. Let's solve our next example. From the top of a vertical cliff 40 meters high, the angle of depression of an object that is level with the base of the cliff is 34 degrees. How far is the object from the base of the cliff? So this will be our illustration. So this one will be the angle of depression, and notice that the angle of elevation and angle of depression is congruent with each other, because this one is alternate interior angle. So alternate interior angles are congruent. And then let's identify the given. So theta, or the reference angle, is 34 degrees. And then adjacent side is equal to x. So we are looking for the distance between the object and the base of the cliff. And then for the opposite side of 34 degrees, this is 40 meters, or the height of the cliff. After that, we will be applying trigonometry. So we have here the given angle, or the reference angle, and then given the opposite, which is 40 meters. And then we are looking for adjacent, so opposite and adjacent, so we will be using tangent. So tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. We will substitute the corresponding value. So we have tan 34 degrees is equal to the value of opposite is equal to 40 meters, all over the adjacent, which is equal to x. We will cross multiply. So tan 34 degrees times x is x times tan 34 degrees, and then 40 times 1 is equal to 40. And then tan 34 degrees will be equal to 0.6745 times x equals bring down 40. And then to solve for the value of x, just divide this both sides by 0.6745 and this will be cancelled out. And then 40 divided by 0.6745 is equal to 59.3. Therefore, the distance of the object from the base of the cliff is equal to 59.3 meters. So let's have our last example. You drop an egg on the kitchen floor. You are 1.5 meters above the floor and 3.75 meters from the egg. To see the egg, what is your angle of depression? So let's illustrate our problem. So you are 1.5 meters above the floor, and then the distance between you and the egg is equal to 3.75 meters, and we are looking for the angle of depression. And to solve for that, we all know that the angle of depression is congruent with the angle of elevation. So they are equal with each other. So let's use this as our reference angle or given angle. And if this will be our reference angle, we have the value for our opposite side, and we also have the value for our adjacent side. So theta is unknown, adjacent side is equal to 3.75 meters, and the opposite side is equal to 1.5 meters. So since we have opposite and adjacent, we will be using tangent or cotangent. So let's use tangent theta. So tangent theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. We will substitute the corresponding value. So we have tan theta is equal to the value of opposite is equal to 1.5 all over the value of adjacent is equal to 3.75. We will divide these two numbers. 1.5 divided by 3.75 is equal to 0.4. And then we will divide this both sides by tan. So tan over tan will be cancelled out. And then theta will just be equal to arc tan times 0.4. Pressing this on our calculator, the answer will be equal to 21.8 degrees. Therefore, the angle of depression is equal to 21.8 degrees.